Welcome to SYNC-O-WICZ, hosted by the fearless Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. She's syncing you up with the latest in election integrity, from breaking headlines to critical updates you won't hear anywhere else. With Linda, it's facts first as she leads the fight for one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. I want to thank everyone who is watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and all our other social platforms. So thank you. This week, our special guest is Velma Ann Ruth. She is the co-founder of Precinct Project US. We'll be getting to her very shortly. The states we're going to be talking about this week: Florida, Michigan, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey. Then we'll go to our election terms, our election trivia. Then we have our national news. Then we have our vote notes. And our vote notes is a longer story that you'll be able to click on the link to get the rest of it. And today's vote notes actually has a video that you absolutely need to see. Then we go on to international news. And as always, at the end is my final thoughts, which you will find out that I sprinkle them throughout the entire program because I can't keep it contained. So let's go first to our guest, Velma Ann Ruth. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for welcoming me.
You are fantastic. You are doing so much. We want you to tell everybody about all the different things that you have been working on, not only with the precinct strategy, but also your other information that you have available to people.
Well, thank you so much. This is really encouraging, and congratulations again on your program. I know that a lot of folks really look up to you for election security and voter fraud and training. So it really is a privilege to be able to participate on your show. Precinct Project USA started about 6 months ago, but really the beginning of precinct strategy, I think we can go all the way back at least to the 1960s. The most recent publication actually that we have from the RNC is from around 1962. And our Wisconsin state lead, Joel Brazil, found a program from the RNC that explains what the precinct project is, in terms of getting involved locally, getting involved with your precincts, becoming a member of your local GOP, and helping to turn out the vote and really competing with the other side, competing with the Democrats, the other side of the aisle. So fast forward a little bit to around 45 years ago, in the Precinct Project USA network, we have one of our members has actually been a precinct committee person for at least 44 years, which is really incredible. So fast forward to the Tea Party era, if anybody's familiar with that. A lot of us, I think, started in conservative activism during that time. Around 14 years ago, Steve Bannon and Dan Schultz together launched and were working on the precinct strategy to get as many precinct committee men and their equivalent in different states appointed or elected within their communities as a way to generate conservatism in the party, with some, and I'm just going to diplomatically say, some competition with the rhinos or the neocons, as they say. So in any event, it really is just a path for getting involved in your local GOP. So for the past 14 years, there are countless people and countless now GOP chairs at the state and county level. And I think even there probably are even some in the national committee that have followed precinct strategy from the very beginning. So Dan Schultz wrote a book, and if you go to precinctstrategy.com, you can see the original history and read about different bylaws for different county GOPs and different strategies and ways to get involved. Every state is different. And in some states, the counties are different in terms of their procedures. So if you go to our website on precinctprojectusa.org and you look for your state in the either alphabetically or by region, you can see basically what the procedure is. So some folks, you're elected just like a political candidate, and others you're appointed by your county GOP committee, typically, usually at a convention.
Is this different from people being involved with their RNC, the Republican or the Republican town committees, the RTCs?
So basically, the hierarchy of the Republican Party, as a, I could just call it the establishment for the sake of argument, but the established Republican Party, right, as an infrastructure. So you have the RNC, and then you have the RNC has their branches, right, like with RGA and the NRSC and the NRCC, and so on. And then, of course, you have the state party branches, right, which then go down to the county GOPs. So the county GOPs have affiliate local GOPs, but this actually goes down to the precinct level. So what happens is this is usually managed at the county level or the district or independent city, the county equivalent. So essentially, a precinct is the smallest political unit on the geographical map, right? And in, I think in 2021, the EAC, the Election Assistance Commission, measured there were, I believe, around 174,000 plus precincts across the country. And so usually a precinct has at least two people who are part of their party, the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, who are representing their party in terms of elections and getting out the vote and working with the candidates and donors, and really as a liaison to the voters in the community. So the thing is that the Democrat Party is incredibly strong, and they're not shy about that. And the Democrat Party actually is very aggressively proactive in recruiting people to become precinct committee people so that they can have two or more people per precinct, per neighborhood, representing the party. Whereas the Republican infrastructure doesn't have reach down to that level so much in terms of those positions. So it really is a competitive way, really at the local level and Democrat facing.
Wow. So it's a way of getting the information out, as you said, locally. And I know people that are listening that live here in Connecticut. We don't have precincts. We have the Republican town committees, which would essentially be the one drilled way down to each town. That's how we do it here, because Connecticut also did away with anything to do with counties. I think it was like 27 years or 28 years ago. But with your strategy, that would work perfectly with every Republican town committee in Connecticut, as well as all the different precincts that you're talking about across the country. We need people to get involved. And a lot of times people don't know what to do. How do they get involved? So through precinct strategy, so they go to your website and they will be able to learn who it is in their area that is within it.
Yeah. And actually, I want to digress a little bit. So let's look at Connecticut, because I'm actually, disclaimer, I grew up there, so I'm very familiar and I love Connecticut very much. So in your town or in your area, like how many precinct locations do you have in your town?
We don't have precinct locations. That's the whole thing. We just have Middletown as a voting district, and we have, I think, six or seven polling stations, but it takes from the different areas that they're in, and there isn't anybody specific. That's why it's just by town in Connecticut.
Okay,
which I can tell you, I can get you the information on each of the towns here in Connecticut.
Right. So if I was Dan Schultz, which I'm absolutely not, and and I respect him very highly as a as a founder of Precinct Strategy, and also as an attorney and as an advocate working with so many people. Something that he would say is, what you really want to do is go to your state, go to your local GOP, find out what the procedures are, because everything is different. And so at precinctprojectusa.org, the way that we structure this is we just kind of give a high level overview. So on the website, you go to Connecticut, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to match what you said, at least in a few bullet points, right? But then what happens is folks are usually, so, this is co-led with Steve Stern, right? The flag shirt store, and his election integrity call. So, and what he says all the time is go to the website, sign up. And what happens is if you go to the website and you fill out the form, then what happens is I actually receive that information, and then I forward it on to our state point of contact. And we have points of contact in every state. And then that person is supposed to be helpful, and usually is. If they're not terribly busy and have a lot of things going on, that person can, usually reach out to you directly and say, hey, what would you like to do? How would you like to get involved? And sometimes it's just learning.
When somebody signs up, what then would be one of the most basic things that someone would be able to do once they get involved?
Mm-hmm. So when someone signs up, our first step is, we want to connect you with a point of contact so you have someone you can work with, right? And the second is we have a regular newsletter that lets you know about the national call that Steve Stern leads and that we co-lead and co-host, which provides kind of a general oversight and lets you know about different things that are going on with the different state leaders and in their different counties. But we also have webinars. So we just started a monthly webinar. In July, it was a high-level overview of the precinct strategy, and that's more interactive. So the national call is a broadcast, but the webinars are roundtables where you can actually ask questions, get to know people. So the July webinar was precinct strategy overview, what it means to be a precinct committee person, what is a precinct or their equivalent nationwide, as we're talking about, right? So sometimes it's a town, sometimes it's a district, sometimes it's a ward. And so every state absolutely is different. And I actually want to commend Matthew Hawkins in the state of Washington, who's a co-lead for Washington, who actually provided that index of what the differences are for every state. Our next webinar is going to be on September 10th, where folks can find out about bylaws and parliamentarians. Because there's a lot of people who are actually already precinct committee people, or they've been running for committee person. And there's some folks who have been having issues getting involved, in an official capacity as a precinct committee person or equivalent. And then there's others who just want to know so that they can kind of be supportive at the county level. So that's a really intricate session. And then for October, the October webinar is going to be a part 2, again with Project Civica, Sue Hansen and Patrick Wynn, who did the part 1 in July, will be exactly how to become a precinct committee person.
So you have all the information on all 50 states. So there's no reason why people should not get involved. You need to get involved. That's what we need, especially for this midterm. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, the way that we're approaching Precinct Project USA is that being a precinct committee person, representing your neighborhood, representing your town, participating in your community with the constituents and the candidates on your party, that's not the be all end all, right? I mean, that's part of it, and that's really important, and that's awesome. And it's what we support as a framework, right? However, there's more that you can do. And so if you want to get involved in election security, you want to be, a poll worker, you want to get involved in the voter data, if you want to, get involved in civics, you want to even run for a local office or so on. There are different civic organizations like Fight Voter Fraud, where you have those options to also be involved. So I think, the way we're approaching this is kind of in a spiritual way, that God has a plan for everybody. And sometimes, you want to be a precinct committee person, you want to go for it. That's great. We want to be supportive of you, whether you win or lose, right or wrong. We're here as a network and as a support system. But we also like to support the options, right? Like in Pennsylvania, there's Right for Bucks, which is a civic organization. In Illinois, there's Illinois Freedom Alliance, which is another civic organization. And so we just want to help you get involved, stay involved, and at least vote.
Yes. Well, at the very least. And what we're telling people is that when you go to vote this November, bring somebody with you. Think of the buddy system, preferably someone with your same views. So before we go, is there anything else that you wanted the audience to know about Precinct Project US?
Well, I think just as a disclaimer, I want to just really encourage, because there there are folks over the years and recently who have been having some issues staying involved, right? And because the Republican Party goes through ebbs and flows. I think we saw that with the Tea Party. We've seen that with MAGA. We've seen that Patriot movement and so on. And what's happening now is that there are a lot of Democrats and former Democrats who are becoming involved in the Republican Party. And those former Democrats are, becoming very closely aligned with a lot of establishment, like established Republicans, right? And I think it's set up a different tone in the party. And so there are certain folks who, have been duly elected to their seats, as a state chair, as a county chair, as a precinct committee person. And then some of those folks are even not seated. Some of them are pushed out, and then it gets a lot more aggressive. So I just want to really emulate that with Precinct Project USA. If you get bullied by the political pulpit, we're not going to just let you go and say, okay, well, you've been kicked out. Good luck. No, that's not what this is about. Because, if you want to win at anything, that camaraderie, that unity, that friendship is really important. So we're about those relationships.
Yeah, being united in our ideas and our values, and of course, supporting our constitutional republic. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
At Fight Voter Fraud, we work to ensure every legal vote is counted, and no unlawful vote ever diminishes the voice of we the people. We're fighting for you in courtrooms and communities nationwide to protect transparency, accountability, and fairness in every election. Our mission is simple: one vote for one legal voter. This is our country. This is our vote. Let's protect it together.
Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. As all of you know, our elections are reserved only for U.S. citizens. What we'd like you to do is go to our website or scan the QR code and sign the petition that you only want U.S. citizens voting in our elections. Please like and share this with as many people as you possibly can. Thank you so much for your support. Hi, and welcome back to SYNC-O-WICZ. Velma Ann Ruth is such an incredible and phenomenal person. We are absolutely going to be having her come back on again because there's a lot of other information with things that she works on that people need to know about. Well, right now we are going to go to our first state, and that is the state of Florida. This is from Ballotpedia News from August 13th, 2026. Florida enacts new congressional maps citizenship verification requirements in 2026. The Florida legislature passed 8 election-related bills during its 2026 regular and special sessions, all of which Governor Ron DeSantis signed between April and June. Among those bills was HB 991, which requires officials to verify whether a prospective voter provided proof of citizenship when applying for a driver's license or state ID card. If not, the person must provide proof of citizenship to be registered to vote. This also applies to individuals updating their registration due to a change of name, address, or party affiliation. If a voter does not provide proof of citizenship, they'll be issued a provisional ballot. The ballot would only be counted if the voter provided proof of citizenship before 5 p.m. on the second day following the election. Now, HB 991 also enacted a number of other election-related policies, including requiring the Department of State to use information from federal jury coordinators that an individual was disqualified or potentially disqualified from jury service due to not having U.S. citizenship, being convicted of a felony, being deceased. I guess that would be one to take you off. Or not being a resident of Florida or the relevant county to identify potential ineligible voters and voter registration applicants. Requiring candidates for federal office to state in writing whether they intend to trade stocks in specified manners while serving in office. Another one is adding the following forms of identification to the list of acceptable IDs presented by voters when entering a polling place: U.S. passport cards and U.S. uniform service or merchant marine ID. Now, they also have removing the following forms of identification from the list of acceptable IDs presented by voters when entering a polling place. They can no longer use debit or credit cards. Really? Oh my God. Student IDs, retirement center IDs, neighborhood association IDs, and public assistance IDs. There's a number of other bills that they've done, but Florida, you are absolutely on the right track. So people should be emulating Florida. They're not perfect. They're getting there, or at least getting a lot better than a lot of the other states that are out there. So kudos to the legislature in Florida and Governor Ron DeSantis. Now we're going on to Michigan. This is from the Michigan House Republicans on August 13th, 2026. Representative Smith, we need to save Michigan from ongoing foreign voting threats. Disenfranchised voters cost taxpayers thousands. State Representative Rachel Smith, she is a Republican from Martin, released the following statement after Attorney General Dana Nessel today charged 5 non-citizens with election crimes following their participation in the 2024 election. The announcement comes after Smith and other Michigan lawmakers sent a letter to U.S. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican from South Dakota, urging him to lead the U.S. Senate in passing the Safeguard America Voter Eligibility, that's the SAVE Act, which would require proof of citizenship when registering to vote and photo ID when voting. Quote, how many non-citizens will have to vote in our elections before Democrats recognize it's a crisis? I truly believe Michigan is the epicenter of the problem. We have a Democrat Secretary of State self-reporting that non-citizens voted under her leadership, and then a Democrat Attorney General charging those non-citizens because the crimes were too blatant to ignore. Can you imagine how many more non-citizens we would find voting in our elections if we had a serious Attorney General or Secretary of State who wouldn't treat the crisis like a non-issue? Welcome to Connecticut. Oof. So it goes on about the fact that they had non-U.S. citizens, and we really need to do something about it. So kudos to them. We're going on to Nebraska. This is from the Nebraska Public Media, August 13th, 2026. And as it says at the top of my page, wah, 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 wah. So bear with me as I read this story. Judge dismisses Republican-led challenge to Nebraska voter law. A lawsuit filed by the Republican National Committee challenging a Nebraska law allowing certain overseas voters to vote in the Cornhusker state is over. Lancaster County District Judge Ryan Post ruled Wednesday that there was at least one constitutional application for the challenged law. As such, Post dismissed the challenge from the RNC, and the voters could not bring the same challenge, or actually it said, and to Lancaster County voters with prejudice, meaning the RNC and the voters could not bring the same challenge again. State law allows U.S. citizens who have never resided in Nebraska but have a parent registered to vote in one Nebraska county to register in one county. It would be a felony to register or vote in multiple states or counties. Not going to put what just went through my head with that statement. Clean show. To succeed, the RNC would have needed to establish that, quote, no set of circumstances exists that it would allow the act to be valid, Post said. Quote, a statute is presumed to be constitutional and all reasonable doubts are resolved in favor of the constitutionality, Post wrote in a 13-page order. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And even the way the judge put it, that it's with prejudice, so they cannot bring this up again. So in other words, in Nebraska, if you have a family member that lives there, you can go vote there, even though you don't live there. That's crazy. Crazy. Oh my goodness, it goes on. I don't think I can. I can't read the rest of it. It goes on even more. All right, we're going to go on to New Hampshire. Believe it or not, this is from the Wyoming News Now, reporting on New Hampshire on August 13th, 2026. New Hampshire sued over voter ID restrictions for students. New Hampshire is being sued in federal court over a new law that prohibits the use of student IDs to vote in federal, state, and local elections. The lawsuit, filed in U.S. District Court by the Coalition of Open Democracy, alleges that the requirement for students to show government-issued photo identification to register to vote and cast ballots, quote, unconstitutionally burdens the right to vote, discriminates against young voters on account of their age, and unlawfully rewrites the New Hampshire's election statutes. What? Did I miss something here? Oh my goodness. So a bill signed into law by Governor Kelly Ayotte in April eliminates a provision of state election law allowing voters to show a college identification card to receive a ballot. Instead, students are now required to present an ID issued by federal government or an out-of-state driver's license, an ID or U.S. passport. How horrifying. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, here in Connecticut, if you're a Wesleyan University student, you don't even show your ID card. You just show a letter from the university saying you go there. Oh my goodness. So Ayotte and other Republican proponents hailed the law, saying it reduces the likelihood of voter fraud from people who fake college identification. New Hampshire's Secretary of State, David Scallon, unilaterally extended that requirement to the state's voter registration process, but the federal lawsuit claims that violated the state's constitution of separation of power protections because he didn't have authority from the state legislature. Okay, so common sense, you have to get common sense okayed by the legislature? This is crazy. So New Hampshire is actually doing the right thing. Really. Really. Look at the fiasco that happened here a couple years ago with UConn. And we're looking forward to the same chaos that they're going to bring forward this November. But I know a number of people are going to try to stop that. But my goodness, unbelievable. So they had voting access groups challenge the law, and a federal judge issued a ruling in May striking down the law as unconstitutional. Fortunately, the state has appealed, but the law currently remains blocked. Can we say Democratic judge? Unbelievable. Once again, common sense, common sense. God forbid you have to actually have a student show an ID, a real ID. How many of you out there had fake IDs to get into bars when you were younger? I mean, they were so easy to obtain, although I never used a fake ID to get into a bar. TMI, huh? Just saying, look at them, a little too much information there, but okay. All right, so we're going to go on to New Jersey. This is from the Sparta Independent from August 11th, 2026. Sussex County Commissioners pass election integrity resolution, Newtown. The commissioners asked the governor to investigate after she disclosed that thousands of ineligible voters were registered at state motor vehicle locations in 2023 and 2024. Remember, she said it was a glitch in the system and it was the DMV, and we all know and have found out since that was not true, although anyway, following Mikey Sherrill's revelation that thousands of ineligible voters were registered to vote at the Voter Vehicle Commission locations between June 2023 and June 2024, the Sussex County Board of County Commissioners passed a resolution calling on Sherrill to conduct a full, independent, and transparent investigation into the matter. I'm sorry. I love the fact that they want her to conduct a full, independent, and transparent investigation into that matter. Do you really think that's going to happen in the state of New Jersey? We would like to see it happen. So, quote, the people of New Jersey deserve to know, unquote. A portion of the resolution passed on the July 29th special meeting reads, on July 21st, the governor, Mikey Sherrill, announced that approximately 6,600 individuals who had indicated they were not United States citizens were improperly registered to vote as a result of a software error. Untrue. Quote, Governor Sherrill further stated that a review found fewer than only 400 of the individuals newly registered as a result of the error subsequently cast ballots. Oh, there's only a little under 400. That's it. No big deal. One is too many, people. One is too many. And with these numbers coming out, you can bet the bank that it is a lot more than they are admitting to, because remember, they only put a 1-year span. To note that, June 2023 to June 2024. So there's a lot more years in there that people were registered that are not U.S. citizens. So anyway, I am glad that they did that. It is something other than a glitch. And of course, the Democrats are saying it's nothing more than grandstanding by wanting this done. Sussex Democrats criticized the resolution passed by the all-Republican Sussex County Board of County Commissioners. Quote, the tradition of Sussex County Commissioners wasting taxpayer time and money with frivolous, symbolic resolutions is alive and well. Oh my goodness. You know what? You need this for the rest of the story. I'll let you guys read it on your own. It's more of Democrats whining and complaining because somebody is trying to do the right thing, the moral thing, standing up for the people and the voters of their state. God forbid, can't do that. Democrats are totally against that. Whew. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our election term. This is from Baltimore Beat, August 16th, and our word of the week is dark money. That's money that is donated to a political candidate during an election campaign from organizations that are not required to disclose their donors' identities. This money usually attempts to influence elections. Usually, always. Always, but that's the definition of dark money. Our election trivia question of the week is from Reader's Digest, August 16th, 2026. Which president disliked his official portrait so much that he had it burned? We're going to go to a quick break and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. Now, our Operation Verify Voters 2026 has been going strong all year. We are encouraging more of you from across the country to get involved. It's simple, it's easy. You go to our website or scan the QR code. You know who lives on your street. You know the people who have passed away. You can actually do things locally, and it doesn't take that long to train you. I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of your time. So please get involved with our Operation Verify Voters 2026. Thank you. Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ from SYNC-O-WICZ, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new series that we have just added called SYNC-O-WICZ Presents Candidate Spotlight. And this is open to any candidate, any party, anywhere in the country that wants to have a 20-minute interview. So you can talk about yourself, your platform, your campaign, and we'll help you get it out there. So give us a call, send us an email, or visit our website. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. Again, I want to thank everyone who's watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and all our other social platforms. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Our election trivia question of the week: which president disliked his official portrait so much that he had it burned? The answer? Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, that's really not liking your photo. Actually, it would have been a painting if it's the official picture. Okay, so now we're going to go on to national news, and this is from the Texan from August 13th, 2026. Federal Appeals Court restores Texas mail ballot requirements, election integrity measures. Voters must provide valid matching ID information on mail ballot applications. This story has been updated to include the Trump administration urging the U.S. Supreme Court to expedite an appeal over mail ballots. After years of legal wrangling, a federal appeals court has restored portions of a 2021 Texas election integrity law that added security measures for mail ballots and restricted ballot harvesting. A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals dismissed much of the pending consolidated lawsuit filed by La Unión del Pueblo Entero and other groups for a lack of standing and found that one challenge failed on its merits. In an opinion published on Wednesday evening, Judge Andrew Oldham defended Texas's attempts to validate mail ballots. It has long been established that mail-in ballots are prone to fraud, he wrote. That is why voting by mail jeopardizes election integrity and democracy itself, unquote. Yay! Yay! We actually have judges that are doing their jobs. So the 2021 Senate Bill SB1, authored by State Senator Brian Hughes, he is a Republican from Mineola, requires voters to provide either a driver's license number or the last 4 of the Social Security number on mail ballot applications and on the ballot carrier envelope. The identification data must match the information in the voter's registration record, and any mismatches or missing information can lead to ballot rejection. Yay! Again, this goes on a lot more with other things that they did not pass. And here we have the Election Protection and Integrity Act was a centerpiece of the Texas GOP legislation and sparked a quorum bust as many members of the Texas House Democratic Caucus fled to Washington, D.C. in 2021. The U.S. Department of Justice under President Joe Biden also filed a lawsuit challenging provisions of the law. I remember that. When all the people that are supposed to be representing Texas that are the Democrats, they left the state so there wouldn't be a quorum. Unbelievable. And I believe there was fines actually put against them. But what was our word of the week, Tim? Dark money? I think a lot of the dark money paid for those fines. Not 100% sure, but pretty sure. Okay, so now we're going to go on to vote notes. Vote notes, as most of you know, is a story that has a lot more to it, that you're going to be able to click on the link to read the story. And this one has the video. And those who have not seen the video, you are going to want to see it, because apparently this video has already been taken down by TikTok as of yesterday. So this is from O'Keefe Media Group, August 13th, 2026. Caught inside Minneapolis polling booths, Minnesota poll workers tell O'Keefe, dressed in Muslim garb, and Cam Higbee in a burqa, that they can vouch for 8 unregistered voters without ID, allowing them to vote in the Minnesota primary election. James O'Keefe, OMG undercover reporters, and members of the Justice League went undercover at polling locations across Minneapolis on Minnesota primary election day on August 11, 2026, to put the state's voter, quote, vouching system to an extreme test. Under Minnesota statutes 201.061, a voter who is already registered in a precinct can sign an oath stating they personally know another individual is a resident of the precinct. One registered voter can vouch for up to 8 people. So O'Keefe and members of the Justice League dressed in traditional Muslim attire and entered Minneapolis polling locations, presenting an intentionally extreme scenario to expose what they see as the lunacy of the state's, quote, vouching system. At the first location, O'Keefe explicitly told an election worker that the people accompanying him were not registered and asked whether he could vouch for them. Quote, I can vouch for them. They are not registered, unquote. And they said, quote, that's okay. That's fine. Yeah, quote, the election worker responded. O'Keefe then pushed the scenario further, asking whether he could leave and return with 5 more people. The worker told him he could vouch for up to 8. Quote, up to 8 people, unquote, O'Keefe asked. Quote, yes, the worker responded. O'Keefe told the worker he would go back, get additional people, and return to the polling location. The team then moved to another Minneapolis polling location to see whether they would receive the same response. There, an election worker explained that if the individuals lived in the same precinct and O'Keefe was already registered there, he could vouch for them as proof of residency. O'Keefe again pressed the worker about how many people he could bring. How many people may I vouch for? 8. Well, 8. Can I vouch for 8 people? Mm-hmm. During the encounter, the role of the voucher was summed up in one striking statement from an election worker. Quote, you're the ID, unquote. Unbelievable. This is just absolutely unbelievable. And it goes on. Cam Higbee actually posed as a female. He was wearing a burqa and he was going to be voting in a woman's name. And yeah, of course, go right ahead. Okay. So you do need to check out that video. It is unbelievable. But then again, it's Minnesota. Nothing is unbelievable in Minnesota, as we have now seen over the past year and a half. We're going to go on to international news. And the country of the week is Kazakhstan. And this is from Wikipedia on August 16th, 2026. Now, they have a population of 20,102,423. That's as of January 2022. They've got 12 million plus registered voters, and their average turnout is 72.5%. They have 19 elections in their database, if you wanted to check that out. And this year, it is August 26th. This was ratified on August 26th. Oh, actually, the CEDAW status was ratified August 26, 1998. Now, their election this year is August 23rd, 2026, and it's for their National Congress. So that's Kazakhstan, and their vote is coming up very, very soon. All right, now we're on to my final thoughts. Not that I've had any thoughts throughout the program. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up anymore. I mean, with Minnesota, with James O'Keefe, and I know James, he has done a lot in his career and is doing so much more and exposing what is going on. Case in point, Minnesota is so messed up. Not only are their voter rolls screwed up, but now we find out that they can just vote for anybody they want. And clearly, you and I would think that someone who's coming in the garb that he was wearing, you would possibly question, are they a U.S. citizen themselves? Well, that part doesn't even come into play because Minnesota, go ahead, vouch for anybody. You can vouch for your dog. You don't have to even bring them in. Just vouch for whoever you want. So we've seen so many laws that are so ridiculous, but who defends them? The Democrats. The Democrats defend them over and over and over again. I've brought it up many times. I live in Connecticut, a sanctuary state. My guess is that if we actually only had U.S. citizens voting in the state of Connecticut, we would lose a minimum of 10% of our voting people that are on the voter rolls, a minimum. We'll see in the near future whether that's going to be true or not. It may even be more because we're told anywhere between 150,000 and 300,000 illegals are here in Connecticut. Oh, wait a minute, undocumented. Attorney General Baby Tong, our Connecticut Attorney General, he'll do anything at all to protect the illegals here in Connecticut. And in lockstep with that is Governor Ned Lamont, who has brought our beautiful state into the sewer with everything, with our jobs, with our housing. We have 40% of our tax dollars go to these programs that don't even work. We don't even have anybody who can look into the corruption here in the state of Connecticut because we have so many judges that are off the rails, including our Connecticut Supreme Court. But we're fighting back. We are going to make a difference, and we're going to make a difference this November. And the same for all of you across the country. Do not give up. Stay positive. This is good versus evil right now. We are fighting for our constitutional republic. And oh, by the way, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. We don't want these Islamic jihadists, which basically is a new word for socialism, because that's what it is. Nobody really cares when you say socialism. How about if we start saying the Islamic jihadists that want to take over our country? It's been going on for a long time, and it got accelerated under Obama, and then it was put into like lightning speed under the Biden administration. Every single day, we are fighting to get our country back and to keep our country. So if any of you are complaining about the taxes and, how much you don't have in your pocket anymore, or the lack of jobs or the lack of housing, you can do something. You can actually go to the polls this November and vote for a Republican, because voting for a Democrat is voting for the Islamic jihadists and voting for the communists. And you know what's really funny is, do people of color realize they don't like you? They don't want you. And guess what, you LGBTQXYZ people? We're probably the only country that doesn't kill you. In other countries, because of your preference, they kill you. So are these the people that you are going to want to vote for this November? Look what's going on in New York City. You have Mandami, who has a $6 million home in Uganda, who told everybody, oh, you're going to get everything free buses, free food, free rent, free all of this stuff. Guess what? It is not free. In order for communism to work, you have to take from the working people. And the working people are the ones that function under capitalism. If you want something, why do you have to go and say you want what somebody else has? How about if you work for it yourself? Everybody can get to wherever they want to be. You can become the president of the United States. You can get your PhD in physics. It depends on you and how hard you work. That's how it's supposed to be, the American dream. The American dream that your grandparents and great-grandparents fought for in World War I and World War II. Now, do you realize in the 1950s that President Truman made it illegal for communism in the United States? It is against the law. So when they stand up there and spout everything that they're spouting and want you to believe that communism is great, that's sedition. That's against the law. All we need is somebody to start doing something about it. Let's get the people out of this country that should not be here. We don't need the foot washing places, as they just found in the Dallas airport, that they were going to put in for the Muslims. I'm sorry, you wash your feet like we do when we take a shower. We do not need to cater to this Islamic jihadist group with Sharia law where women have no rights at all. You want to show your face or your skin, they can stone you to death. Did you know that? We have no rights at all. So it's going to be up to all of us now going forward through the election to make sure you put people in place that have the same values you have, or with some of you have the same values you used to have until you drank the Kool-Aid, which is listening to the far left media that lies. Oh, did I tell you they lie? All the time. And every time they get caught in lies, they have another lie to try to cover up their first lie. Some of you that are interested, look at what's going on here in Connecticut with the illegal that killed a off-duty police officer and his girlfriend in Danbury, Connecticut, that lives in Stamford, that had a license saying she lived in New Britain. And then the governor and the Secretary of State claim, oh, it's two different people. No, it's not. And, it's just unbelievable on what has been going on here and across the country. So again, all of you, you can make a difference. Please make sure you vote in November. Get involved. Check out the precinct strategy. Get involved with Velma Ann Ruth and her organization. Let's help America, even if it's one person at a time. So thank you again for watching SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ, again, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud, who has absolutely no opinion on anything at all. Thank you for watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and all our other social platforms. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.